Okay, hey Drawing One students, welcome to our first drawing lesson. What I'm going to talk about today is simplification. And the reason I'm starting there is by simplifying what we're looking at, that's going to give us the best opportunity to develop a drawing that actually says something about the character of the thing that we're looking at, which is really what life drawing is about. It's not about perfection or copying. It's about finding the essential nature of the character of the thing that we're looking at, in my opinion, anyway. So again, we can do that best by not getting overwhelmed by all the small details out there in nature, but by looking at the larger sort of line and shape relationships that are going to get us at that essential character. So the first drawing idea along this line of simplification is called the envelope. So this is a very traditional drawing idea that gives us one way of simplifying what we're looking at. And there are a couple principles or a couple of requirements in order to use the envelope. One is that we are just using straight lines, so straight lines only. And why use straight lines? Well, one of the things that we're after when we're trying to get at the character of the shape through simplification is we're trying to find the essential proportions. That means both the relative lengths of the lines and also the relationship to those lines, how they're moving towards or away from one another, and what's distinctive about that. So those kinds of things we can focus on better if we're not, if we're not being sidetracked by other issues like volume, like trying to make things round. So by using straight lines, it keeps us focused on just looking at the proportions of these lines, right? So, and what that forces us to do is to think flatly. So we're flattening out our field of vision, again, taking volume out of the equation, and just looking at nature as this flat series of lines coming together. Your brain works best if it's doing one thing at a time. So if it's just allowing itself to judge relationships, line relationships, distances, and so forth, and not thinking about other things like all the little details or all the little volumes that I see or how the shading is working or whatever, all those things are just going to distract us. So we're trying to push all of that away for the time being and just see purely in terms of these straight lines. Okay, so, and then we're also trying to find a balance between being simple, but also saying something specific about the character of the shape. So how simple can I be, but still say something specific about what I'm looking at? So for example, if I look at that pink cup up there, so when I look at that, I think, okay, if I sort of have the idea of what are the largest line relationships that are going to show me the big character. From back here, I don't see all the little details. It's that large character of the shape that's making itself felt, and that's what I want to go for at the beginning, not all the little patterning on the cup or, in this case, even the handle. It's a small detail. So the larger impact it has from a distance is that it's got a certain height versus width, and the lines are angling in a particular way. So with the envelope, what I would do is I would look at the cup and I would say, okay, that cup is, I can represent that cup with a shape like this. So in 4 quick lines, I can get at the essential character of that cup. And then what I want to do once I put this down is to check what I've done, to look and say, okay, is that the best that I can do in terms of the character of that large shape? Or, maybe it has to be a little bit longer for that height. So I'm focusing on the height versus the width here, and then what kind of characteristic tapering do I see the lines making? I want to be very fluid about changing, about looking, making a decision, putting it down, and then comparing, and then changing if I have to. That's part of getting better, is allowing yourself to make changes. So really important. All right, so that's the essence of the envelope shape. I'll do one more here. If I look at the boot up there, boot. All right. So if I was going to do an envelope shape for the boot, I would shape like this. All right, and that gives me a starting place of height versus width, not getting caught up with a lot of detail. So again, it's a balance between simplification and saying something specific about the shape. So I could be really simple about that shape. I can make a shape that said something about the height and the width of that boot, like that, just a rectangle, but that doesn't really get at the character at all of the boot, right? Or I could go too far down the road of character at the beginning. If I did this, and I made my envelope shape do this, and then 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 do this. You know, those are too many lines at the beginning. I want something that I can put down in like 10 or 15 seconds, you know, 4 to 8 lines max, and just find that big character of the shape, height versus width, characteristic taperings.